Welcome to CVine, We the People. I'm Linda Forsyth, and today I have some information that is really rather disconcerting, especially to all of us in CVine, all the volunteers, all the people that have put endless amounts of hours and time and effort into bringing you vetted news to make absolutely certain what is put out there is true. Well, without warning, a couple of days ago, Facebook, in their infinite wisdom, without any warning whatsoever, took down the Facebook group page that was used specifically for vetting. It was kind of like a study hall where everyone came together, and we, for transparency, all the individuals that do the actual investigating and so on would do this in front of all our members. And we would be posting the news on the c-vine.com website and discussing not only the news that was there, but also other news that was out there. It was for discussion and debate, and also to allow the people that are the members of CVine to take part in this vetting process also, to debate and research to see if what was out there was in fact true, and discuss it. Well, it's gone. And that's 33,000 members just all of a sudden, boom. They went on to CVine and found out it was taken down because the statement was that we violated Facebook. I forget what it's called, violations. We had a Facebook violations. And it is permanent. It isn't, something like being in Facebook jail or anything to this effect. It is permanent, and they state that there is absolutely no way to turn it around. There's no way for us to even just state our case or discuss it or anything. It is just unilaterally taken down. Well, that isn't all. Every single person that was an administrator in CVine, and most of those people almost working full-time as volunteers, that were also trustees of the CVine Charitable Trust, besides being moderators and administrators on this Facebook group page, all their personal pages were taken down also. Even if some of them hadn't put anything on their own personal pages whatsoever having to do with politics or whatever. Most of them have never received any violations whatsoever, or even warnings. They were, good. I mean, I was on since 2008, and not once have I received a violation, and I'm down. Well, we're not done. That we're not done in any way, shape, means, or form. Thank God for the time being. We do still have our Twitter page up. We do still have our YouTube page up. And most importantly, we have our c-vine.com website up. And that's what I want to talk to you about right now. Now, with everything that's going on, Ron Osk and his team is taking this on full bore, and along with some other volunteers and investigators, to be able to see what we can do to help remedy this egregious censoring and taking away our freedom of speech. Not to mention, we're, the freedom of the press. So all of that has been taken down by a social media. Well, I am requesting that everyone please, from now on, go to c-vine.com on our website. And we are still, in fact, we're picking up speed, going to be posting and continue to post all latest news stories, breaking news stories, opinion stories, and of course there's our education section on there that we are building and is just about finished. It's already running to a certain degree. So that is there. Now, at the end of every single news story, you can scroll down to the bottom and do comments, just like on a thread, and have conversation, just like we had done otherwise. We're going to pick that up now a lot more. Even though we are on Parler and MeWe also, it's real low following because we're starting from scratch. I really want to focus on the c-vine.com website, because that is where we have an entire platform built for individuals, should they choose, that they can have their own private page on there, and also make it easily accessible for those who come to c-vine.com, not only to read the news, but to all our favorite individuals that we have on social media, having their own page. They can do their own videos. We have our own servers. So we can do all of that on our own. We do not have to be in a position of being censored as it stands right now. So we're going to take advantage of that, and we're going to continue moving forward with that. That being said, Ron has dictated a letter, which I have right here, and I will be posting this on the website along with many other things that are coming up. But I am going to read that to you right now. Now, this is a letter, a sternly worded letter to Facebook. And so I will read it to you right now, but it will be posted up on the website. So, okay, freedom of speech violations by Facebook, and this is off of their law office letterhead. Freedom of speech violations by Facebook. According to a report from Fox Business News, Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg made a public statement that Facebook would restrict content after the US election. Mr. Zuckerberg said this in response to a national outcry because of egregious censoring never before seen in the history of America, resulting in the destruction of businesses, personal lives, and blatant election tampering, not to mention a flagrant breach of the American constitutional First Amendment rights. But to add insult to injury, it also infringes on the freedom of press, as is with the case of CVine News Network that used Facebook group platform as a study and research hall for transparency purposes, where the public could watch the investigation process and even assist with it. We are referring to the following groups and or individuals who had their respective pages removed from Facebook without warning on October 21st. CVine News Talk, a public Facebook study group, is number one, with approximately 33,000 members, and is a division of CVine International Charitable Foundation and Trust, whose purpose was to research, study, investigate, debate, and discuss current news topics. Investigations and fact-checking are always carried out by licensed investigators, journalists, and attorneys. Administrators were the only ones who were allowed to post on this group page. Comments and vetting of members were carefully carried out by a team of 15 administrators and moderators. The members were there to weigh in with opinion, plus discussions and debate findings in the comments section. A strict code of conduct was pinned to the top of the page and enforced in line with Facebook rules. Most of the actual administrators of this group are also trustees of the CVine Foundation, and the top administrator of this Facebook group is the CVine Protector of the Trust and one of your own certified Facebook super admins. Okay, other person, Linda Forsyth, personal page removed, 5,000 friends, 7,000 followers, is an approved citizen journalist for the DOD for the 9/11 KSM et al. Pretrial tribunals conducted in Gitmo. She's also the founder and creator of CVine International Charitable Trust, made for the public, and administrator of the CVine News Talk group on Facebook. And she has been on Facebook since 2008, never once put in Facebook jail, and carefully followed Facebook rules. Leonard Bacani the third person, had also his personal page removed, 5,000 friends, 400 followers. A retired police officer from Santa Ana Police Department, also currently the CEO of Homeland Security Services, Inc., a private investigations, private security, and state-authorized training organization for the California Bureau of Security and Investigative Services. Leonard founded the company 18 years ago. Leonard holds a private investigator's license, a private security agency license, PPO, and is a firearms and baton training instructor. Leonard has been an investigative journalist for CVine News for the past 2 years and is an approved citizen journalist for the DoD for the 9/11 KSM et al. Pretrial tribunals conducted in Gitmo. The next person, Ron Osk, personal and business pages removed. Not just his personal, his business pages, law pages. He's a practicing attorney and administrator for CVine News Talk Facebook group, and he has never once broke any Facebook rules. Next individual, Frank E. Sturgill Jr., personal page and multiple peripheral Facebook groups removed that he had founded. Frank was the lead and or the top administrator of CVine News Talk Group and is a member in good standing of FCLL, which is a group run by Facebook Group Development and is created for top administrators in large groups. The member who is part of FCLL has to meet a certain criterion in order to be invited. Frank was also a beta tester for FCLL, reporting back on issues and gave suggestions on how to make improvements. 900 members of this group were told in a class by Victoria, which is the person apparently teaching the class, their groups were immune from group takedown as long as they were members in FCLL. He states that there is insider information that admins were removed because of a political affiliation. Okay, so that right there, according to Ron, when we had talked about this, that's breach of contract. Breach of contract right there with Frank Sturgill. Okay, because he's been following all the rules. He's been there for a long time. So not only did they remove his personal page, he had multiple other groups, large groups, that they took down in addition. Took down the whole thing. Okay, next person, Bonnie Nirguday, personal page removed. She's the administrator of CVine News Talk, an investigative reporter, and a journalist. Marcy Smith, personal page removed. Administrator of CVine News Talk, investigative reporter, and journalist. Side note, Marcy's husband had a stroke that day, and while she waited in the emergency room during his surgery, she went onto the Facebook Messenger to notify family and found out she had been removed. That was when she found out. Facebook Messenger was her primary form of communication. Next person, Jolyn Lai, personal page removed, administrator of CVine News Talk, investigative reporter, and journalist. Next person, Brian Karen, excuse me, had his personal page removed and his business page. Administrator of CVine News Talk and graphic designer. He never used CVine News Talk or his personal page for political discussion, as he was only on there for graphic design upkeep. Okay, so most of us are familiar with grooming. This is what else it says. That is what we did when we were preparing for our first date when we were in high school. Our mothers groomed us so we would look our best and make the best impression. Over the years, another power has serenely and systematically groomed the minds of most Americans today. That power is Silicon Valley, who has groomed us to be dependent on the present social media powers of Facebook, Twitter, Google, YouTube, and many other social media platforms. This dependency on social media platforms is the first phase of implementing a socialistic society. Silicon Valley is indoctrinating socialism into our children and young adults every day. Furthermore, it is our own government that has formed this alliance with Silicon Valley, Facebook, and big tech companies. The left-wing liberals of the Democratic Party have fostered this alliance with Silicon Valley, which has now backfired on our country. Our founding fathers recognized the power of the media to keep the media honest. However, the roles have reversed now, where the government and the media are working together in an unholy alliance with each other, wherein the government is using the media to remove any type of views which contradict any left-wing ideology. Furthermore, the media is actively participating in this unholy alliance by prohibiting any type of speech which goes against any left-wing views. Once we lose our jobs and our businesses, we become vulnerable. From this vulnerability, people are forced to depend on the government for assistance. Silicon Valley has lulled the American people into a false sense of security. At any moment now, Silicon Valley is going to pull the rug out from under our feet, and society will be ripe for obedience to the monopoly of the big tech companies of Facebook and Twitter and all of the social media platforms of large size. Then they will be able to manipulate us into believing what they want us to believe, communicating the way they want us to communicate, and behaving the way they want us to behave. This is exactly what former President Lyndon B. Johnson did to the minority communities back in 1960s with his War on Poverty plan. As a result of his plan, most of those minority communities remain dependent on the government up to this day. At this present time, our society is totally dependent on Silicon Valley for our news and our ability to communicate with one another. We have been systematically groomed. Our society is now dependent on Mark Zuckerberg of Facebook. Mark Zuckerberg has forced us all to get on our knees and plead with him as to what information will be allowed on his Facebook sites. Mark Zuckerberg has illegally frozen and deleted all Facebook accounts that are not in line with his left-wing liberal ideology. We cannot live at his mercy any longer. We need our government representatives to break the social media monopoly which Mr. Zuckerberg has created. We need our California State Assembly members, our California senators, and our representatives in Congress to act and protect our society from these Silicon Valley tycoons. We need to make sure our representatives in the House of Representatives and the United States Senate enforce and amend 47 U.S.C. number 230. Facebook cannot hide under self-proclaimed immunity when Facebook has violated their agreement with their user accounts. Facebook cannot be immune from freezing, deleting accounts, and not providing reasons as to why those accounts have been frozen and or deleted. Silicon Valley and Facebook are the modern tycoons of today, the same as John D. Rockefeller was the big oil and steel tycoon from years past. Our representatives in Congress must enforce antitrust laws to destroy this unholy monopoly that Silicon Valley big tech companies and Facebook control over social media. Facebook cannot wield the power of deleting user accounts just because Facebook believes the user's ideas are not in line with left-wing ideology. Sincerely, Ronald W. Ask, attorney at law. Okay, so that's going to be sent to them, and chances are it's going to be tossed, if even looked at. But we are putting it out in the news so everyone can see it and read it and understand that we are putting this out in the court of public opinion. Now, as many of you have noticed, many cases that go to court are either obstructed or slow-walked through such a process that it is horribly expensive for anybody to sit there and fight against things because of the ongoing expense that it takes to be able to do lawsuits or take somebody to court. And many times the whole purpose of it is just to get people to give up, and then it goes away. Well, there's other ways to do things, and part of it is, as November 3rd is coming up, everyone must get out there and vote. Don't think your vote doesn't count, because it does. And folks, we are right now on the cusp of losing our country. We're already losing our freedom of speech. The news used to be because they had freedom of speech, and they also had the rights of the press. Excuse me. Because of the rights of the press, that was to keep people honest. Well, now that's been infiltrated through mainstream media as in my opinion, as it appears to quite a few people, quite frankly. And so we need to take our country back. We need to take our lives back. We are being manipulated and guided and herded like sheep directly to a position that puts us even more under the thumb of socialism, which the next step is dictatorship. Keep in mind that today, and many of you have probably seen this, there have been many posts on social media, especially on Twitter, I can't see on Facebook, from Europe and Australia, people crying out for help. Help us, because now they are really picking up speed in tampering down on people's rights. And they are in big trouble. And for the most part, that's exactly where we're headed. If America goes, that's it. There is no place to hide, no place to turn. And that's why they're fighting this so hard. And we, the people of America, the reason this country was formed was to be in charge of our own country. We hire individuals to represent us. It's the only way to put it. By voting them in, basically, is like hiring them to represent the interests of we the people. And just like when you have your own business and you hire an employee who is doing whatever they can to bring down your business in direct opposition to your wishes, especially when you're paying them, and you are paying these politicians through your taxes. When that happens, you fire them. Well, why isn't a lot of these individuals, quote unquote, not fired? Well, it looks like there's been a lot of election tampering and a lot of things going on behind the scenes. And if we don't step up and take hold of our own constitutional rights as citizens of the United States, you're going to lose your country. So this is why they are trying to take away our voice on social media to bring out information of critical importance about the opposing party that's running. They're basically squashing it. Well, you don't have proof. You don't have this. Well, you can't even discuss it. You can't even put it out there and display your proof. You're immediately cut off. Okay, I'm done with my little soapbox. I'm going to share my screen and go to the c-vine.com website, c-vine.com website. And this is where the news, I'm going to be doing something a little different. Since you've taken away a lot of my time and effort of being able to spend on Facebook, well, I'm going to be doing videos. I'm going to be doing them on YouTube, and I'm going to be posting these videos up on our website about the news every day. I'm really picking up steam on that. And if for some reason that's taken down, then we have, I said, our own servers. We'll do our videos and we will do it right there on our own website. Keep in mind, we have the education page, as you can see up here in the taskbar at the top. Those of you that would like your own pages, contact us. In the meantime, because it's going to be taking a lot more bandwidth for live streaming and etc., we're using our own servers. We ask you to please go to this button up here at the top at the CVine donation page. There's all different ways to donate, whether it is by check or by becoming a member, which I strongly recommend you do now, and just do like $5, $10 a month, whatever you can. That would be helpful, and then we can send out emails to you also. We're going to be starting to do the email list, getting those out there. If for some reason you can't afford to be able to do anything on a monthly basis, you still have full access to the site. Nobody is going to prevent you if you're not a paid member. Paid members basically just help us to keep it financially moving take care of our overhead. And I also am going to be, when I do the news reports every day, I'm going to be posting it under the We the People, doing that, which is going to go over the news stories that are posted under breaking news. A lot of them, just be aware that I'm going to be marking them as opinion, because NewsGuard is basically, whether you have all kinds of facts out there or not, they will allow you to keep it up, so to speak, if you state it as an opinion. So we're going to be putting that on there to try and keep our freedom of speech. Okay? So we're doing our best here. We need you. If you want to come to a place where there is news, to help us, to get the word out, to drive people to c-fine.com, to become a paying member if you can. Even one-time donations is very, very helpful. And we will be discussing this. Remember, down at the bottom of every single news story, you can comment and discuss as in a thread. And we also have the forum. The forum is there also. As we get in additional donations, we're going to be upgrading our software so we can do more things like on other types of social media, but that takes funds. So we need your help. We need your help. So we are here continuing to put in a great deal of time and effort. None of us are getting paid. None of us are getting paid. Most of the money, a lot of it that comes out when we can't even cover our overhead, comes out of our own pockets. So we are here for you. Let's work together as we the people and keep communications open without censoring. Thank you, everybody, for joining me today. And tomorrow we're going to be having Ron on. He's going to be talking about some things about how socialism works and how slow and behind the scenes things happen very subtly. Okay, thank you, everybody. We'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night.